Hello everyone, welcome to another video. On this video, we are going to be creating Google Performance Max campaigns for lead generation. So if you're doing some type of business where you don't sell necessarily things directly on the website, but you do lead generation so you can call them, send them emails for whatever the reason, we are going to be creating some killer Performance Max campaigns for lead generation. And if you do not have conversion set up, and as you know, Google Performance Max does not work for clicks optimization, but you need some kind of conversion. So what we're gonna do today in a very simple way, we're gonna set up our conversions, and then we're gonna go create Google Performance Max campaigns. Clearly, during the creative process, we are gonna be using AdCreative.ai, because otherwise, a killer Performance Max campaign, a Performance Max campaign with a lot of tests and creatives and headlines inside would take you over a couple of hours to set up. But with AdCreative.ai, it's just gonna take a minute or two. Let's directly dive in. So on Google directly, you need to click on this plus button to set up your first campaign. But as I mentioned, Google Performance Max requires a conversion. So basically, Google needs to know when a conversion happens on your website. So what we need to do is to click on Tools and Settings on top menu, and then we're gonna go to Conversions under Measurement. So there you can see that I already have one conversion setup that I'm using, which is sign up. But in this case, I need a lead generation conversion. So let's say this business doesn't do it, but I'm just gonna create one fake conversion with you so you can actually understand how to do it. So what we're gonna do is to click on New Conversion Action, and then we're gonna click on website because it's gonna happen on our website, right? And then Google brought this thing, which is amazing. You just need to write your domain. So I'm gonna write AdCreative.ai for this example. I'm gonna click on scan, and basically what Google is gonna do is that it's just gonna check if I have Google Analytics, etc. set up. And basically it brought me this super simplified page. And what's gonna happen is that I need to select the category. So I'm gonna go ahead and say submit lead form, since we're doing lead generation campaign, and then choose match type. So a lot of people are doing URL is, which is a very dangerous thing because of many reasons. If you have, for example, www beginning of your domain, or for some other reason, usually is, so the exact match of a URL is not a safe way. That's why I always recommend people to use URL contains. So let's say that at AdCreative.ai, our website, which we don't have it, but let's say that we have something like thank you. Okay, so we don't have it, but in case we did have it, let's say that we have some kind of lead generation form, and when people kind of fill that form in and write their details, we redirect them to this thank you page. And thank you page is that things like we received your information, or like one of our salespeople or strategists or whatever is going to come back to you depending on your business. So let's say that I have such a web page, and usually that's the best practice. You should have one. I would be basically writing this thank you. So basically I'm telling Google that as soon as or when URL contains, my website URL contains thank you, consider that as a submit lead form. As simple as that. So I'm just going to click on add. That's done. On a page load, which is perfect. When somebody visits that, it means they already became a lead. What else we can do is that we can also use this last option, which is create conversion actions manually using code. So when you click on that, what you can do is that you can actually set up this thing in a bit more detail. So again, I can say that submit lead form. Conversion rate could be lead form 2, for example, if I have 2 of them. And then it's very important that you give some kind of value. So for example, let's say that when somebody becomes a lead, on average, like when you have sales and divided sales to the leads, you know that each lead is, let's say, $90 to you, like they bring you $90. And in that case, you can actually make some kind of ROI calculation. So even in your ads manager, you can see if a campaign is profitable or not. But if you don't want to do that, you can also say don't use value. And then clearly every and one, in this case we need one, because if one person gives their information 5 times, that's not really 5 different leads, and we don't really want Google to count this 5 different times. So I would be going with 1. But if I was selling something, let's say I'm selling a t-shirt and somebody buys 5 times a t-shirt, every time is a sale. And in that case, I would be using every. But in this case, one person can become a lead one time. So I'm gonna be just counting as one. And the rest of the things I'm gonna leave it. But just for you to know, click-through conversion window 30 days is a bit long. I would probably keep that on 7 days, but I'm not going to do that right now. Anyway, we already did on the first part of the conversion. So on the next step, basically, Google is gonna giving me some kind of code that I can put it on the heat tag, and that's gonna be basically solving everything else. So basically, if you're not good at this and if you have a developer, you can always click here, write your email addresses and then send it. But on this section, basically it gives me an HTML, and what I need to do is that put this HTML on the header part of my website. This way, Google can actually read those URLs, and when the URL has thank you, it can consider that as a lead form. So as soon as I do that, the lead form, the lead conversion is done. And as soon as the lead conversion is done, we're ready to create our first campaign. Again, just to give you a bit of a kickstart, if this doesn't work, if you don't have that type of URL, etc., the best practice would be you have a couple of options. Number one is to set up Google Analytics. This is the best practice. Set up your Google Analytics and then set up your goals within Google Analytics. And when you do that, you will need Google Tag Manager. So the best thing you can do, which it would be a 30 minutes video if I do that right now, but you can actually check some articles or YouTube videos about how to set up your Google Analytics and then how to set up your Google Tag Manager. Probably you may need to set up the Google Tag Manager before, because Google Tag Manager is something that fires all the tracking scripts on your website. So Google Tag Manager first, and then you put Google Analytics later on. And when you have both of them, you basically can track any single thing on your website. You can even say that when a person clicks on this button, count that. Or you can even say that when somebody scrolls 35% of my website, count that as a lead form, etc. So you basically, you can do whatever you want on Google Tag Manager as long as it's set up well. Anyway, that was just to give you a bit of information. If you need to go deeper, that's the best practice right now in 2022 to set up your tag manager and then Google Analytics. And I would definitely recommend Google Analytics 4 if you're not using it, because that's the future. The universal analytics is gonna end up very soon. That's gonna be it. Anyway, we're getting far from the topic. Let's come back to Google Performance Max campaigns. So as you know, Google Performance Max is a type of campaign that needs a conversion, and you give a lot of details to this Google Performance Max campaign, such as 10 headlines or 10 creatives or whatever, and Google kind of like mixes and matches, creates several hundred variations, and then like put them live, understands which ones are performing well, find the best performing one and start using that one. It's very similar to Facebook dynamic creative ads. It's very similar to Microsoft's Amazon ads. So this is kind of like the future, because you don't really need to do that work. And as an advertiser, we've done that for a long time. I used to have clients, I used to create like 50 different ads, test them all, understand which ones are performing, turn off the ones that doesn't perform, keep the best ones, and then create new variations of these best ones. That was my daily job. That's why people were paying me for that. But now you don't really need to do that. The platforms, you just give everything, they create those variations. So the advertisers or the businesses have two things to do right now. Be very creative, because the creative matters the most in 2022. So the creativity is super important. And the second thing is, which is not that important, is just to know your audience a bit. Why am I saying it's not important? Because you're gonna see in Google Performance Max, you almost don't need to really give much. You can even say, I'm gonna target whole France or whole US or UK, whatever. And then in just like a bit, it's gonna take a bit longer than a traditional targeting, but it's gonna find that perfect audience for you and start hitting it every single day. Anyway, let's come back. So I'm gonna, in this case, select leads. And after that, you can see that the one that I just have here that I created already is there. Clearly it's giving me an error because I didn't set it up, because I don't have such a thing yet. Let's say that I click on continue and I'm gonna select Performance Max. So you should definitely write a campaign name. And usually one of the best practices, depending on your like who you're working with or what's your style, but if you're the one that creates your own campaigns, I would probably be going on Google Performance Max. For example, here I would say lead generation, and I would say, let's say that in this one we're going to be targeting US or France, since we're in France right now. So let's say lead France, and I would say PMax, because even if you're using API or some wherever you're checking your campaigns, and they don't tell you the campaign type. Here it gives you that information, it directly tells you that. And probably I would go a bit more in detail, but let's say that like that's already gonna do the job. But basically what I would be doing is that, let's say that I'm gonna be talking about our, let's say $500 discount. I would also be potentially putting it there, but doesn't matter. So the first thing is you're gonna do is to budget. Let's say that we're gonna put $100. As you know, Google Performance Max, as I mentioned, it's gonna create hundreds of variations. The higher the budget, the more data the ads get, the more data the campaigns get, the faster it's gonna optimize. So if you wanna test Performance Max campaigns with like $3, $5, or $10 a day, it's gonna really take a long time before you see really the performance, the value of Performance Max. So I definitely recommend you that test it with a proper budget. Like $100 may be a lot if you're advertising in India or in Pakistan or in Turkey or whatever, but $100 could also be very cheap if you're targeting, I don't know, like most probably New York. So what I'm trying to say is that find the proper budget. I think the safest, if you're going after high income countries, $100 a day is usually a good ratio. So let's go to the next step. That's the country. The broader, the more data, just like it goes, like the previous one. The broader your audience, the more data it has, the better it can optimize. And also you have a less chance to really mess it up. For example, right now I'm in Paris, right? And let's say that I'm selling t-shirts in Paris, or I'm doing a lead generation in Paris. If I put a specific part of Paris, thinking that, okay, like in that arrondissement, they're gonna bring me the best leads. And if I go and target that part of Paris, and maybe there's a chance that I'm actually missing another part of Paris that could bring me lots of leads. So what I'm trying to say is that if you're not 100% sure, like if your lead generation can only be from there because like there is something about your business that only these people can be your clients, of course you need to go to that specific part of the geography. But if everyone in that city or country can be your client, I would definitely recommend you to go as broad as possible to not to miss anything, because that's literally Google's job. Like they have so many signals that as advertisers we don't have access, but they have like millions of probably data points per person, so they know who can be your client. In that case, I would definitely let them do the job. So I'm gonna say France in this case. I'm not gonna target English speaking, I'm gonna target all languages. Usually that's the best practice, but if you're really like you wanna go very deep, you can say French. Don't forget that there's a lot of people who uses English browsers, etc., just like me, or there's a lot of foreign people as well. They do kind of speak it's French, so they could be your client, but they're not going to be using their browser in French. So I think I would always recommend all languages, but in this case I'm going to leave it French. Google does something amazing. It kind of like tests all your websites on this section, final URL expansion. So what I would do is that I wouldn't do that. I've tested a lot. Usually it doesn't perform that good. So what I would be doing is that, hey, I'm send the traffic only to my homepage or only to this landing page, because usually what happens is that Google starts sending traffic to your pricing on a cold audience. They click, they need to understand your offer, but it directly goes to the pricing, and it's usually not the best place to end up. I usually use a pricing page on a retargeting with a discount and then send them to the pricing so they can select their package or whatever we are selling, right? So that's why I don't really let Google do that. That being said, I'm pretty sure that if I leave both ads in just a couple of days, Google is already going to understand best performing page and start advertising that. So I don't want to go against myself. Do trust Google. They know their thing. Their AIs and machine learnings are quite well set up. We are almost on the last step. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to go ahead and, so not thank you clearly, I'm going to take my website and I'm going to say that my website is my final destination. So send the traffic to there. And as you can see, Google asked me to give 20 images. That's a lot of images, 5 logos, 5 videos, but don't be scared if you don't have videos. They kind of create slides type of ugly kind of videos for you. They do work. So that's all matters. Like, and the rest of the stuff like headlines, long headlines and then descriptions. So let's directly get started. So I'm creating ads for AdCreative.ai, which is a tool that allows you to generate ad creatives. So since we're using that, I'm just gonna go to my AdCreative.ai, get into my brand, and under my brand, I'm gonna be creating a project. So my project is gonna be, first you need to be selecting your size. I'm gonna select post size, and project description, I'm gonna say that AdCreative.ai is a SaaS platform that allows you to generate performance max campaign creatives in a matter of minutes. So that would be my project description. And the target audience are advertisers, because that's who we are selling this product to. And I can go ahead and write my text, but I love this text AI button. Like, that kind of gives me a lot of ideas. I can edit it. I don't have to use them at all, but it's just super cool to see like what the AI is gonna come up for based on my project description and the target audience. So it's very and highly recommended that you give that data. So I love that AdCreative.ai, the future of advertising. I don't think we need AdCreative.ai because it was too long. So it says that I need to delete 32 characters. Get your campaign creatives done. It seems too long. I'm gonna use this one. I kind of like what the AI came up with, and I don't think that we need creatives. The fastest way to creatives. Let's say that it's good. And then here at AdCreative.ai is the best way to create high performing ad campaigns. That's lovely. And if you ever watch any of my videos, I think a call to action has to be very precise. And on this one, I'm gonna be saying something like, get an offer today. I mean, this is a lead generation campaign, and let's say that when they become a lead, we're gonna give them some kind of offer or a quote or whatever. So now what we can do is a background. So what we can do is, if we wanna have something really premium, we can use this iStock integration we have. So we are partners with iStock by Getty Images, and you can actually purchase premium images. And this is just gonna be $5 per image, although anywhere online you're gonna see that it's $10, so there's quite a bit of discount there for you, so your ads can really have this premium. Or if you want, you can also use the free image search engine that we gathered literally the best free stock libraries all together that has like Splash, Unsplash, sorry, Pixels, etc. So let's say on this one I'm going to be, this is about ads, so maybe Facebook. Let's see how that is gonna end up. Or let's say in this example, we do Google, right? Let's go with Google. Okay, so Google have some cool stuff. Let's see that we like this one since we create Google Performance Max. Uses this, that's good. PMax campaigns. Performance Max is really long, so people kind of call it PMax. If you ever see it, don't be confused. So what AdCreative.ai is gonna do is that AdCreative.ai is gonna generate a lot of ad creatives that are just looking beautiful, and the AI generates these creatives using a data from best performing ads online, because AdCreative.ai has like hundreds of thousands of ad account accesses at this point, and we analyze those creatives, create data points, and from those data points we can actually generate ad creatives that are designed to convert, designed to bring you sales, designed to bring you leads. So that's why you're gonna have these scores on all the creatives. So anyway, what I'm gonna do is, there is a couple of them that I really like. For example, this one is really my favorite. And if you download something, you're gonna see that as soon as you click on it, it's gonna bring you this pixel perfect version of that creative. So it looks amazing. It's like ready. It gets my attention, and that's the idea of an ad. And it would probably take me, let's say 15 to 20 minutes on Canva, because I kind of use Canva time to time. So 20 minutes, I need 20 images, 400 minutes, you calculate the hours, that's a lot of time. And then you need to create different versions of that. So there's a lot of work there. That's why Performance Max is beautiful, but a lot of agencies don't like it, because you need to, when a client says, hey, create me Performance Max, the first thing an agency thinks is that, oh my God, I just need to create like hundreds of images to test. Because that's the best practice. If you create like one ad with Google Performance Max, one creative, that's really not the best practice. Anyway, today I'm not gonna go that crazy. I'm not gonna put 20 of them. It's super easy, but I'm just gonna do 2 of them with different versions so you can actually understand the value of it. So let's say that we like this one. I already downloaded the square one. So what I can do is that I can click this beautiful icon that says render this image in other sizes. What's gonna happen is that it's gonna generate this creative in other sizes and bring me all of them. And I need square for Google Performance Max. I need a landscape, which is like a bit shorter. And then I also need a vertical. Google likes these three because it looks good on every placement when they combine these things. So that's it in one creative. So what I can do is basically go back to my Google Performance Max and then click on images, upload. I can just put, whoa, what's happening? Okay, it worked. Why does it do it? Okay. So let's go back and download the square again so I don't search it. Just for you to know, when you download something one time, you don't have to use your creatives again for the same creative. So you're good. You can download it as much as you want. So I selected those three creatives. What I can do is, so as you can see, Google knows three sizes and we give the perfect size. So Google doesn't even ask you which size this is for. So this is, for example, it knows that it's 1.9 to 1. So basically it's perfect size. It's a landscape. This one, it's a perfect vertical 4 to 5. And this is a perfect square 1 to 1. So since we do perfect generation, Google doesn't even ask. It recognizes. All you need to do is click on save. Then you need logos. Clearly I created Performance Max campaigns before, so I should have some logos. Yes, as you can see, same idea. One logo there, one logo there, one logo there, save. My logos are ready. When it comes to videos, it is recommended that you let Google do their videos, but also you should have one video or two videos at least. If you can do five, do five. But I already recorded something for sales purposes. And this video has 64 minutes. I was just checking if I can advertise that long video. But basically I could get that and this and that and that. And basically I could create 4 videos. I already have a lot of YouTube videos anyway. So headlines. Oh my God, there is like let's check it together. So you need to prepare 5 headlines here and 5 long headlines. And then how many? I think 4 descriptions. Let's see. No, 5 descriptions as well. So you need 5 headlines, 5 long headlines and 5 descriptions. That's a lot of time. But with AdCreative.ai, we solved that too. You can go to text projects under your brand. You can click on create a project, write your product name AdCreative.ai. Output language English. I want headlines at first. I'm gonna use them on Google, so the tone can be for that. Like the AI is really good on that. Describe your product. AdCreative.ai is a SaaS platform that allows you to generate ad creatives that sell. The target audience is clearly advertisers. So next step, let me close that. That's it. I just give all that information. AI is gonna like generate a lot of creatives, are gonna bring it to me some cool stuff, and I can even see how many characters they are. Get the best ad creatives that sell. Love it. Let's go use it right away. We cannot use it. That's 30. Use it on the long one. That's cool enough. So the second one, creative, the ultimate SaaS platform for ad creatives. Love it. Let's go. The third one, generate stunning ad creatives that sell. Why not? Let's go and test it. Continue, the perfect platform creating ad creatives that sell. 657 characters. That fits. Let's go. And the other one is going to be ad creative one-stop shop for ad creatives. That's done. So basically that's what you can do. I'm not going to spend a lot of time, but basically you can change some inputs or generate more or copies to get those. Google also give you some stuff from your website like AI powered ad creatives. Now they disappeared. Unlimited free stock images. They have some kind of bug there. When I click here, it doesn't. It just brings this anyway. And then using artificial intelligence, save time, and generate whatever. So we basically write the headlines and then you will be writing your descriptions as well. Google kind of gives you some ideas. They have a bug on their website, so it's like, I don't know why this blinks when I try to do that. You see, it just brings the one that I just selected. Whatever. So we write that to call to action. I definitely recommend that you leave it to Google unless it's very precise, and you know that I like my precise stuff. So I would be like, in this case, let's say sign up, and I become a sign up. And the business name is AdCreative.ai. And basically my ad is ready. You can go to more options. There is some tricks that I really like. For example, if somebody becomes a lead and you give them, let's say, free coffee, okay? Let's say, what you can do is that you can actually write here free coffee. It doesn't change anything for you. It still goes to this website, not to the free coffee part. But in some placements, you can actually, if I'm not mistaken, on the search, you can see that free coffee here. which, believe it or not, gets a better conversion rate. So it's a very small trend. It's not going to change everything for you, but we love that. For AdCreative.ai, for example, we use 7 days trial, something like this, 7-day trial, and it works well. It works quite well. And then the last part is the audience signal. So we said the whole friends. If we leave Google test the whole friends, it's gonna take some time, and I don't want to waste that much of money. I want to give a bit of signals to Google. So Google is not saying I'm gonna target only these people. I'm just giving Google signals so Google can actually go to the right audience kind of there. And if they explore that, okay, actually these people is better, they're gonna go there. But it's okay, I still can give them a bit of kickstart. So let's say AdCreative.ai lead gen audience. It's important that I write my audience names. So there's a couple of things you can do. Very first thing is custom segments. I definitely recommend you to use custom segments. The best way is to create one. So let's go create one. Let's say that AdCreative.ai is used by advertisers. So I guess we could find something with advertisers. Not at all, actually, since AdCreative.ai is for advertisers, and I can actually target people based on what they're searching, and what an advertiser would search would probably be, let's say, Facebook ads, Google ads, Performance Max ads, etc. And Google is gonna basically like even give me how many people are doing that, 55% male, 100 million, whatever impressions. So that would be my custom segment. I already selected one. Your data is very important. But to do that, you need to have some Google Analytics etc. connection ready. So what I can do is that I can actually select the whole thing, which is really important so that they understand who are our purchases, visitors, etc. And then you can also go to investors, interests and demographics. And there you can actually, I guess we could go to there, and you can actually go to in segments and find some stuff there. For example, business services, okay? People who are into business services in market. And then you can also go to demographics. I definitely do not recommend it. But if you're doing lead generation for male haircut, let's say, clearly you need to go to male here. The thing is that because of the privacy settings, Google sometimes and most of the time now don't really know the gender. So I would definitely keep still unknown in there, but you can exclude at least the ones that they are sure that it's a female, right? So save, and as soon as I do that, my ads are basically ready. On the next step, I can go ahead and purchase this thing. There is a publish this thing. There's two things. There is site link extensions and call extensions. So if you have a type of business that people actually can directly call, I definitely recommend you to put the call extensions. It's not going to appear on everywhere. It's not going to appear, for example, sometimes on YouTube or Gmail, etc. But it's going to happen on the Google search. And if it happens on Google search, why not? They can directly call you. And if you can convert better on the phone, I would definitely go that way. And if you're talking about lead ads, clearly we need to also talk about lead form extension. Basically, lead form extension is that if you ever used Facebook ads, they have this Facebook lead forms, which basically works in a way that when you click on an ad, it directly brings you this kind of form that you can fill it up. And usually people do that where the lead quality is not that important. They need a lot of volumes, because if you don't bring them to your website and really tell about your product, your services, they don't really understand the value. And if they don't really understand the value, they don't really convert that well. But if they need like a lot of like hundreds or thousands of leads every day, so and they bring them to some kind of email sequence to really like cook them there, whatever, people do that for lead forms. Or some businesses don't really have a landing page or a website. And when you don't have it, when you still need to advertise, that's also an option. And in that case, if you're thinking that, hey, Tufan, like, how am I gonna manage hundreds of leads a day? I'm a small business. What you can do is you can actually make your lead form a bit harder to fill it up, so people don't become that lead, only the ones that are really interested. So for example, if I have a client who does wedding photography, and what you can do is like, when is your wedding? A custom question. And since when you say when is your wedding, it's not a pre-filled question like the first name, last name, email, whatever. People need to write, and only people who really have weddings coming soon are gonna write that. And then you can write like, where is your wedding? Like, or XYZ, like, and then when you ask these questions, you're gonna decrease the number of conversions, so you can actually go to very high quality ones. So I definitely recommend you to create a lead form. You can do the same thing here, pre-filled, as you can see. If you want to get a lot of leads, you can use pre-filled, but if you want just like very high qualified ones, you can actually write some additional questions. So lead form is very important. I definitely recommend you to do it, and if you're ready for it, you go to the next step, go through, review everything, and publish it right away. So I just want to wrap it up. What we've done is that we went and created a conversion, because Google Performance Max campaigns need a conversion because it optimizes actually for conversions. We set it up our conversions through their conversion helper, but if you do not have that, you can actually go ahead, set up Google Tag Manager, and after that Google Tag Manager, you can set up your Google Analytics 4, then set up your goals, and then go to your conversion and import those conversions. I know it sounds like a lot, but actually when you do it once, the second one is going to take 10 minutes to set it up, and you just kind of do it once. And if you have more conversions later on, you have to import more conversions, but it's quite fast, and you do it once. And when you do it, you're going to thank me later on, because that type of data is very, very valuable. Anyway, when the setup conversion was done, we directly went ahead and started creating Performance Max campaigns. Performance Max campaigns requires lots of creatives and lots of headlines, and it can be very hard. That's why we use a tool called AdCreative.ai, which is a tool that we developed here in Paris. We are a startup. That's what we do. We generate high conversion rate ad creatives, because in 2022, these days, especially as I mentioned before, creatives matters the most. Creatives really does changing in an ad. So basically, if your creative is amazing but your audience is really poor, and someone else creative is super poor and their audience is very well, your ad is going to perform much better, because platforms really get better at audience laser targeting. They find the right audience for you, but your creatives, your headlines, your descriptions, your images are extremely important. That's why we ask ourselves, how come creatives are the most important thing in advertising world right now, but still we are designing creatives based on beauty, based on how we feel that day or whatever, or how it looks to us as a business owner, but maybe our target audience doesn't see that way. So we said that, okay, creatives must be automated, creatives must have an artificial intelligence and the data behind. So we created AdCreative.ai so that an artificial intelligence can generate those creatives using over 1 million now ad creatives that performs amazing. So we analyze those creatives, understand data, what kind of ad creatives perform the best. We bring you this beautiful creatives already pre-scored. You can download the ones that you like and then go and start advertising them. So that's the value, and you do the same thing on text generation as well. We bring you a lot of text that are conversion focused, that wants to sell, basically convince your audience. And thanks to AdCreative.ai, you can generate this type of lead generation campaigns on Performance Max in just a matter of minutes, which would probably, although I talked, it took around 28 to 30 minutes. But if you were just creating this by yourself without spending and explaining everything, literally under 10 minutes, you can create some killer Google Performance Max campaigns for lead generation. Thanks a lot watching for this video, watching the video. Just comment below if you have any questions. I make sure to answer everyone within the same day. I go through the comments at least 2 times a day. And in the meantime, please give us a thumbs up so we can actually reach more people. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel, please do so. We created it just a couple of weeks ago. We already have, if I'm not mistaken, almost 2,000 subscribers. It's growing quite steadily, which is amazing, because we're just trying to bring you this amazing free value, and also like to talk about a bit of how our application can actually save a lot of time for advertisers, or a lot of time for people who have small businesses, for some kind of lead generation businesses that generates a lot of creatives. So thanks a lot for watching this video, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.